Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Writing Visual Studio Extensions with Matt. That's me. Today, we're going to look at another editor extension, but this time we're going to make it a little bit different. And we're going to hook up a command, a button, and give it a keyboard shortcut. And we're going to tie that into the new commanding system of the editor. And we're going to make some really cool stuff. And as always, with me, I got James. He's sitting in the background. He's producing this whole thing. Hello, James. Are you there?
Hello. Bye.
And of course, he will make sure that whatever it has to be on the screen, whether it's my screen sharing or my face, he'll make sure all that happens. And so if you look at that link that James just put up there, I'm going to share my screen because that's exactly what I forgot to do last time. And now I forgot to do it again. So that's just how it is. But that link takes you to a repo and to an issue, which is actually not an issue. So this is the thing about GitHub, right? Everything is an issue. This is a feature suggestion. This is a request for a new feature to Visual Studio. And this is the feature we're going to implement today. This is about being able to select an entire line in Visual Studio. And for some reason, Visual Studio there's no command to select the current line. And so let's first define exactly what it is that we want to do. We want to, when you hit a keyboard shortcut, a specific keyboard shortcut that we have yet to define, we want to select the entire line. And there's a few ways we can go about it. We can select just the entire line, including the leading white space, the tabs or spaces before the content of the line starts. We could also, we could either use that or we can not select that when we select the entire line and only select from the beginning of where words start. Then there's the matter of the line ending. Do we include the line ending or not? So we're going to just talk about that, I guess, as we go along. And, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. And we'll see if we can get to them all. And, just like last time, I haven't coded this before. So we're going to, see how my brain works in real time. And hopefully I won't stumble too much over all these different things. All right, let's see if there's a question here. Yeah, Alex gives time to get some coffee. Yeah, I know. I didn't actually get time to get coffee because I was doing other things and then I forgot. So I'll stick to water. Okay, so let's look at my screen here. I'm opening this solution called Tweaks, or actually I called it Tweakster because that was my original name until I figured out that the name of the extension should just be Tweaks instead of Tweakster. So the repo name is Tweakster. The solution name is Tweakster. That's just how it is. We used this last time. So just a quick recap of what this particular project is. It is an extension that includes a bunch of small features that were all suggested on developer community. So, when you go to in Visual Studio, when you go to help, send feedback, and suggest a feature. So it's from in here. Anything that has been reported from within here might have a home in this extension. So this is an extension of all these little features. And the idea is that anyone who wants to contribute can do so. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to contribute a community suggested feature. So let's just open a C# file to see exactly what I want to do. I want a keyboard shortcut that when I click that keyboard shortcut, it highlights the entire line and nothing else. That's it. Very simple. So what do I need? I need a button. And I probably need to put it up here under Edit, Advanced, right next to like Expand Selection, I'm guessing, somewhere around here. So that's problem number one. Create a button and figure out how to put it the right place. So let's start with that. So I'm going to open my Visual Studio command table file. It looks like this. Here we have all these buttons defined.
Hey, Mads, can you make the font just a little bit bigger for us? Maybe 140?
I would love to. I feel like 140, that's a lot bigger.
Yeah, nice and big. People watch this on their phones.
Yeah, 140 it is. Boom. Sorry, everybody. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to create a new ID for this button. And we're going to just give it a name. We're going to call it select whole line. And then we're going to give it a value. So I kind of always in my IDs, I separate them by 100. So if you notice, there's 100 between each. That's way too much. 10 is fine. But you never want to have commands that have IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because you want to allow for others to inject. Is that true? No, you can totally do that. I'm messing things up. I'm thinking about priority. So the order of which you do. No, do whatever you want. This doesn't make any sense. I just keep them. For some reason, I keep 100 between them here in the hex value. So first we add the ID, and because we need to do that to give that button that ID. So let's do that. There we go. Paste that in, and the ID is select whole line right there. And now comes the trick. We need to find the parent. Now I'm not defining the parent. So a button has to live inside a group. So the parent is always a group for a button, always. The same is true for menus. A menu also always have to be inside a group. But in this case, I'm not defining my own group. I want to put it inside an existing group. I want to put it inside the edit advanced, so in here somewhere. And because it's an existing group, it's usually always this one, GUID SHL main menu. Okay, this does not mean the main menu up here. That just means, well, maybe it does, but it's originally it might have. But this is where most of the built-in groups, IDs, and GUIDs are all listed. And now we just need to figure out what it is. It's called something with advanced. So editor advanced. It was edit advanced. So I don't know if we do edit. Edit advanced commands. No, editor advanced. If we can't find where to put it, then that's okay. We'll just put it somewhere else. But I could just put it up on the main edit menu. I feel like I've done this before. What have I put in here? Do I have an extension currently that's in here? I'll have to think about that. Okay, so let's just try it. We're going to call it select whole line. Like that. And that's edit. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving a name to my, I'm giving a name to the command here, and that name would be the one that people can find if they go to Tools Options. Let's see here, and they go under Keyboard. Then if they search for select whole line or whatever, they would see edit.select whole line right here. Okay, and that's why we started with a dot, so that it wouldn't get like this long. Like these ones are super long, right? Class view, context menu, dot, yada yada yada. Those are all prefixes that are automatically added unless you put a dot in front. That way we can completely control. The loc canonical name is sort of the one we need to use. Okay, so let me just run this, because now we need to see if it in fact made it into that menu that I hope that it would make it into. And it's building. Any questions while this loads here? The last comment I see here was was Alex talking about coffee, and that's cool, by the way. There we go. All right, so the experimental instance starts up. Let's see here. And, for those of you who've done a lot of extensions in the past, you know that when we're placing commands, that can be really hard. So it did not go in there. I didn't say that it should be invisible before, let's just open a file here. So James, the reason it's slow, I think, is because I actually kept the browser open with the all the streaming stuff. I've now minimized it, but it's trying to catch up. I'll close this browser too. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is not where it is. Refactoring advanced, code window advanced. Aha. So code window kind of means this window in here. So now we have it loaded. Do we see anything under edit advanced? No, it's still the same thing. Okay. So I'm just going to try one more, which is the code window advanced. And if that doesn't work, then we're just going to leave it as is. Actually, we might make it invisible. I can show you how to make a command that totally works, but is not showing up in any menu anywhere. But but then it's not really discoverable. So I don't know how good of an idea that is. It's good for things you want to have people to be able to search for, or commands that you have to call from other aspects of your code. No, it wasn't there. Okay, man. Let's just. This very rarely works, I've noticed. But if I go and find, was it expand selection? So I'm using a tool window here called Command Explorer. Yeah, it doesn't show. It doesn't show what the groups are here. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's try. Oh. All right. So in that case, we're just going to put it under. We're going to put it. Let's see here. Edit. Man, I feel like I put something in here at some point. So I found it. Oh, well. Let's just leave it there for now, and then let's get to the implementation. So the way this extension works is that each feature is a class. It's filled with small little features that are sort of small in scope. They're easy to implement. They're cheap to implement. And so they're usually just a single class. And so when we go in here, we can see that they're categorized under different things like build, debugger, editor, general, and IDE. And so this is something that has to do with the editor. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add a new item. And I'm going to add a extensibility. I'm going to add a command binding. And I'm going to call this select whole line command arguments, like this. So that item template is one that we did in the extension that we did in the first episode, which was create item templates. So if so go get the extensibility essentials extension, which is an extension pack that has this item template in it as well. And then you can create a file like this super easily. So basically, I'm going to create a class that's going to inherit from editor command args, which is a sort of a sealed base class, abstract class. And we need to fill in a GUID and an ID. And the GUID here is package GUID is one that was created for us. package GUID dot yeah, what was it? GUID commands. GUID commands. And then string. And this one was package IDs dot select whole line, like that. That's all we have to do. So let's see here. Where are we? Select whole line command arcs. And now we need to add another file. So I just said that everything is just a single file. Well, in this case, it's actually two, because now we have to create the command handler. So what we're doing here is we're basically just creating sort of a command argument. This is a link between C# and MEF, the system inside Visual Studio that automatically lights things up. And then that XML file that I created. Okay. So now I need to consume that link. And I'm going to create an editor command handler. And we're going to call that select whole line command. Just like this. And then I just need to make a change. This one should be, the command arcs here is select whole line command arcs, like that. And then I just need to do that here and here. So now I should be able to do some code right here. So should we see if it works? Let's see if it works. What is it? Shell utilities. Oh, this is the canonical show text box, right? We could do that. We could also just do. I don't know if I actually have system Windows Forms. No, I don't. Sense of Windows. Just do it this way. And this one wants a Boolean, so return true. Yeah. All right. So let's see if this works. Let me just set a breakpoint. And here we go. What we want to test now is whether or not the link between the command and the C# works, which makes me wonder, the command might not be available in search. The only way I can find it, yeah, the command window or search. In order for it to be up in search, I think I have to say that it's in the command well only. So if I search for select whole line, it might not be here. But if you don't know what the command window is, this is built into Visual Studio. It's a place where all commands are. So, oh, it's still like kind of loading up here, loading the symbols. We're debugging, so it takes a little longer. So the command window is sort of a way that we can execute any command that we want. So let's execute, but we need. So it may be for this command that the editor has to be active, because it's an editor command handler that I created. So we just open a file. I should go to edit.select whole word. See, it's right here. And I click that, and we got an exception. And what's that about? It didn't even execute. All right, well, let's figure out what's the matter. Yes, Internet Explorer, please enlighten me. I feel like it's going to be down here. All right. Oh, could not find the file. Okay, so something happened in my build. All right. So let's do a rebuild. There we go. Let's see. All right, Control F5. So by the way, this is how I normally would write extensions. A lot of it is like you have to start up the experimental instance and see if things are hooked up and this sort of things. And that is on like every of those inflection points where you're where things are being hooked up. So as soon as that's all done, it's a more streamlined flow after that to kind of just concentrate on getting the logic right. But there's always this sort of initial, almost trial and error type of thing, just to make sure that I haven't made any mistakes in hooking it up. Because if I made a mistake here, it doesn't matter if my logic is the most beautiful thing in the world, right? It will never be invoked. So I kind of just always take my time here. And, some people find it frustrating, and I do too. But there's another aspect to this, which is it also just happens to be extremely rewarding. Like once you then get it, it's like a fantastic experience. So edit dot select all. So absolutely nothing happened. Okay. So what's that about? So it could be because it has to go somewhere else. So let's put it. Is there anything else that's image catalog? Here, this button I just put on file solution. What is that? Yeah. So I'm just going to borrow an existing parent like that. Doesn't really matter. And then we can say, just for the fun of it, let's just say that this command is command well only. So if I do this, it means that the command is not going to be visible anywhere. There's not going to be a button anywhere. But we want to set up a key binding for it. So this is GUID commands, ID select whole line, and Shift Alt. That's actually really cool that it's already Shift Alt, because if we look at other kind of ways to select, expand selection, they're all Shift Alt something. So let's find one Shift Alt that's actually available. So I'm thinking Shift Alt M. Already taken. Shift Alt semicolon. Oh, Shift Alt comma. No, this is like a backtick thing. 0. Shift Alt 0. That might not be so easy to do. Shift Alt E. Shift Alt E. You can do that one-handed. Let's do Shift Alt E. There we go. Okay, so now we have that hooked up to a. Did I do that in the right place? Yes. Shift Alt E. And not always can we assign keyboard shortcuts, even though they look like they're visible, because like if you want to do something that, let's say you want to do Control K, there's actually nothing associated with Control K, but Control K is reserved because for multi keystroke shortcuts. And so if you do Control K, Visual Studio will just say at the status bar, it'll just say waiting for next keystroke. Okay. Well, there is a Shift Alt E. What? Is that the same thing? Get type name. What is going on here? Internet Explorer, can you please wrap this text for me? That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, people, what's wrong here? I just need to do a rebuild, right? Well, that's kind of annoying. Something tells me that's not what the problem is. Something tells me it might have to do with the way I set up this thing. So let me because I've done this before, believe it or not. I'm just going to search for command binding in my GitHub projects. It's not that long ago that I got a new laptop, so I don't have that many GitHub projects cloned yet. But I think, should I have said it's C# files? Maybe. Let's just do that. Yeah, here it comes. What are all these things? Here. Oh, it found the same file. Oh, docs. We don't care about that at the moment. Here we go. Oh, that's the template. VSSDK samples. Oh, look at this. Okay. See, that's what it is. See, they exported completely separate from all this stuff. Isn't that interesting? So instead of doing the exports on top, like I'm doing right here, I'm basically exporting this whole thing. They're doing something else. This is from the Visual Studio samples. Basically, I'm just going to create inside that class. I'm just creating here a member. So this would be internal. And what are we going to call it? Let's call it exactly the same thing. I don't know if you're into the whole underscore thing. Whatevs, man. Okay. So maybe that's what it was. Yeah. So I guess if I'm not overwriting, if I'm not doing anything here, I don't even need this. Yeah. Let's just do it anyway. Let's keep it here. Just call it the base. Okay. You know, I looked at this before we started and I thought, that can't be a problem. That just seems like some weird formatting. So there's something about meth here that I don't fully understand. Like I can export something like this, but I can't export the class, and that makes a difference somehow. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it makes a difference. So now it says composing mef graph, right? Because I just changed the mef graph. So that got invalidated, and so it will restore. It's actually a very, very low percentage of Visual Studio instances that start up with writing the component cache, because that all happens like when you install an extension, for instance, that's when it happens. So it's only if it gets corrupted that Visual Studio will recreate it. Okay. Moment of truth, Shift Alt E. What? You can't be serious. I have a feeling this is not going to help me. This is the same as this is not. It's 2:31. What timestamp do we have? Yeah. Okay. Are there any comments here that did someone see something? Let's see here. No, I don't see any. Well, that's a bummer. Okay. So just be like that, I guess. Then we're going to do something else. We're going to find entire solution. I'm going to find command service instead. If you're going to be like this, and so be it. I'm going to do it old-fashioned way. Do I like it? No. Oh, hang on. Hang on now. No, wait a minute. No. So go away. Just going to comment out of this, and we're just going to hook it up like a... Oh, is that really what we want? Then I have to find a text view. Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's get some. It just looks like all sorts of things are wrong today. What is going on here? No, I'm just going to restart Visual Studio. That's just what we do. No problem. All right. Tweaks. Editor. Where is it? Select whole line. Okay. So let's try it this time. Control dot. Yeah. Roslyn has to be initialized. Setting up the workspace. There we go. All right. What do I need? I don't need a priority. Let's just get rid of all this. I don't need any of this. Okay. Then I'm going to do using task equals system threading task. That should make this happy. Oh. There we go. Yep. I commented out too much before. Okay. So now I got my command service, and I'm going to do this in the pretty way. My old command service. Like this. And instead of, command service, I can just say iMenu command service, cast it to an iMenu command service. So what I've got now is an iMenu command service, and that's kind of neat. Okay. So now I just need to hook it up. So we say, I need to create a new command ID. Like this, and we gave it package GUID with command string. Actually, it needs a GUID. And package ID is select whole line, just like that. Then we need to create an actual command, and that's an old menu command, and it takes an main handle. Let's just call it execute. We haven't defined it yet, and we're going to give it a command ID like that. Oops, and let's just create our execute function. There we go. Actually, so now the trick is, how do we get, okay, so now we have a command, so this will work. So from here, I can totally do what I just did, message box, show, test. So this is going to work when I register it, because this is a traditional command. So that means I have to do this select whole line, initialize async. Yeah, that's what we did up here, sending in the package. The package class gives us the async service provider, so we can call, because that it implements async service provider. So I can get my menu command and I can hook up the menu system. And I was almost done. Do this. There we go. Okay. So now we're good to go. The question is, do we actually execute that command with a key binding? That's another thing, but we can use the command window now because we're no longer tied to the editor. So before I had to open a file because the editor had to be in play because it was an editor command. Now it's just a regular command. That means you can call it in any scope you want. And that also means that there's no longer a specific tie to the particular the current active document that you're working on. So if we go and say edit, select whole line, we get nothing. What is going on? You know, I don't actually see. Okay. I wonder if anything that I've done actually, I'm just going to change something here. Let's say 1.1. So sometimes it's like the extensions get stuck somehow. And that means that whenever you open the experimental instance by hitting F5 or Control F5, it loads a previous version of that extension. It doesn't deploy fully to it when you build. And one way to get out of that is to bump the version number, just make it a version number higher, because the highest version number always sort of overrides. So that could have been what we were seeing. You know, I'm sure it has nothing to do with my code being buggy. That can't be it. We can, that's for sure, right? Good commands. Select whole line. Yeah. So it should basically be next to reopen closed file. Oh no, because I said command well only. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So there's definitely something wrong with adding container. It could not load this one. This is the weirdest thing. So something is completely broken. All right. So time to do the reset. If I can get rid of the repos. So I wonder if something is just wrong. Like I did have a change to I did actually have a change to my project file, and I kind of backed that out, but I wonder if whatever. So github.com Matt Christensen tweakster.git. Okay. So we try this again. And this time I should just be able to copy paste the changes. So that's good. So I'm going to go in the old one. And I'm just going to open the VSCT file. I'm just going to open it in my favorite app. Just copy it. That's how I roll. Like that. We now have select whole line. Under tweaks. Oh, editor. I'm just going to come in here. Tweaks, editor from the old one. And we just grab, let's just grab both of these. Like that. And then we just have to register it in our package here. So that would select whole line command dot. So why does it not recognize that? Because namespace. Nope. Yes, because namespace. Gotta get rid of these. Yeah, I got rid of this too. Oh, select whole line command. There we go. So now let's just do a build, do a rebuild just for the fun of it. And this time we have to like up the version number, right? We did 1.1. So we do 1.1.1. There we go. So this time we're not using meth, we're using the command table. And I didn't debug. I could have done that. So it could be that the package doesn't load, but it should. Let's see. Command will only. Yeah, maybe I should have removed this one. I'll remove it. I mean, we don't want it hidden. I need to find the right location for it, and I will. All right. So edit dot select whole line, and we get the exact same thing. Now this is bothering me. This makes no sense whatsoever. So I wonder what could be the problem. It seems like when I'm, I'm just going to run this. It might be that just loading the package fails it somehow. Oh, the experimental instance is open. So let's run this again. So what could happen here is that the package can't load. It's prohibited from loading because something fails in its loading sequence. And that would be in the initialize sequence here usually. And so it could be that there's just, something wrong in, like, I wonder if this line actually is the thing that completely breaks it, but no, it's probably somewhere else. And so let's just see where it's going to fail. And so what happens is that when I execute a command that is registered with a package, and that package hasn't loaded yet, just by executing it, it will force the package to load. So I should be able to go ahead and do this. So here, the experimental instance is rebuilding the MEF graph. There we go. And we should be able to see here. Are we loading? I'm just looking for whether or not my breakpoint is going to turn red. Is it red or brown or Bordeaux or what the color is for that? I don't know. If you know the name of the color for breakpoints, please add it to the comments. I'm curious. Okay, so you can see here, we still haven't loaded the symbols. And hot reload ain't working. Okay, so something here is kind of weird. So let's just select whole line. So I executed it and nothing happened. Okay, this is just, now it's just bizarre, plain old bizarre. Like, what is going on here? Okay.
Got a few comments in the chat, maybe some suggestions.
Yep, let's hear them. Okay, is it worth uninstalling the extension from the experimental instance? Well, you don't, okay, let's just do that. So there is actually no uninstalling. Well, you can uninstall, but the problem is if you uninstall an extension from the experimental instance, it will likely go horribly wrong. So what you want to do instead is that you want to go in here in the start menu, just search for reset experimental instance. Or is it called Reset Visual Studio? Come on. Is it reset the? Isn't that weird? It's here somewhere, and this happens all the time. I should open a bug on this. Yeah.
I put in reset the. I just did it on mine. Let's type in reset the Visual Studio.
Ah,
There it is.
oh my God. Isn't that the craziest thing? Okay, so I held down Control Shift while I did that because that elevates this command to run as admin, which you don't really need to do, I think. But so in order to reset the experimental instance, you just close down all instances of Visual Studio. Otherwise, this doesn't work. And now that's done. So what you want to do instead is, so instead of uninstalling, you want to just reset the experimental instance. That's going to take all your extensions away. You can also just disable other extensions, but we don't want to disable the one we're working on. Maybe package.get service async needs a class. No, it does not. That should be just fine. As you can see, we don't even load the. It's like the changes we're making here have no effect. So I'm gonna up that one. I'm gonna keep my breakpoint here. Let's just see where it takes us. Get service async. It gets the package, right? We send this, which is this instance of async package, into the constructor right here. And so so this package is an instance of a class, and we can just say, so we retrieve this interface and we cast it to the same interface, which usually is not something that works, but but for the menu command it does. See, it's reset, so it means like it's fully reset, right? So we've just reset that experimental instance, and it kind of starts up for the first time, locking in and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a good point there. It sucks having an error like this, but having Matt search for the error means I know where to search when I fail in my own extension. Yeah, I guess so. Something good could come out of this, right? There is a saying where I come from where translated is nothing is ever so bad that it ain't good for something. So this might qualify for one of those things. So hot reload is still not on here, and this is complaining about, what is this? Does this mean 19 binding failures? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? I'm wondering if I have more than one extension instance kind of running here. So it's starting up. So you probably have noticed this yourself. If you run debugger, like if you hit F5, then the experimental instance is going to run super slow, especially in the beginning. It takes a long time for Visual Studio to start up. And then when you think about it, like it's the world's biggest WPF application, right? It takes it, and you attach the debugger, which loads all the symbols and all this sort of stuff. Of course, it takes a little bit of time. So, but I will say that it also takes extra time because we're streaming, and that actually slows down my machine. Let's see here. And for these breakpoints to light up, the package has to load, right? Because for the breakpoints to light up, Visual Studio needs to load the symbols, but it won't load symbols for things that haven't been loaded yet. And so we're not going to see a full red, brown, burgundy, whatever the color is for breakpoints before the package is loaded. Now the package loads before the initialize async method is called. Package load is basically just where it loads it from disk, like it loads the DLL and does the instantiates it, and then it calls the initialize async after that. Okay, so what do we got? Tweaks. Do we only have one tweaks? Yeah. Version 1.1.2. Okay. So far, so good. So I do believe that the extension here my package will load when I load a solution. So let's just do that. But even though it doesn't load, I should have checked first because that takes a little while. If my command is visible, because it's visible whether my package is loaded or not. That is, the commanding system is separate from your extension logic in that sense. So we'll see. Select tail line. Okay, so see, it is right here. The key binding has taken effect, but that doesn't mean, see, it's still not there. So I'm just gonna call this command, invoke it rather. Actually, we can see here whether the extension is loaded or all extensions have loaded. See, not yet. So I click in the task status center. That's that button down in the very left corner that sometimes animates. And so when you debug, this takes a long time, right? Because what happens with extensions is that they load after Visual Studio's shell is completely done initializing. And if any solutions will load, that they're fully loaded first. And then extensions will come in, not before. And so when you have the debugger and it's kind of loads symbols as it does all these things, you can imagine that that takes a while and delays when your extension code is being loaded. Now, when we're doing MEF, that's not the case. MEF is again a separate thing from loading a package. Okay. So it didn't hit the breakpoint. This is highly bizarre. So let's just do file. Select whole line, and we're going to get the exact same error, I'm sure. Nothing happened. Yeah, because it's just not hooked up to anything. This is the weirdest. Let's see, it should have been loaded. It might have been loaded, right? Or it did load. We saw it load. This is, I can't believe it. It's a mystery. Just looking at your comments here to see if someone has a. No one has a helping hand. That's okay. So the button was correct. The ID 1100. That's not taken, right? No, it's only figuring that in one place. So it's something else. Should I really do this? I will do this. I can't believe I'm doing this. Do you ever do this sort of stuff? Or is it just me? Like, okay, does it get to A? You know what? Does it even get in here? Let's just call that 0. Does it even get here? Now I'm curious. Because, so I get the command, create ID. I had the command down here. This is pretty standard stuff. Like, what could possibly go wrong? You know, famous last words. So this has turned into a class in how to debug extensions that completely misbehave. Okay, so nothing is loaded yet. If I execute this, does it load? Yeah. 0, A, and B, and test. So now it actually executed. Hang on. Right? Test. It actually executed the command. Okay. So what did we learn? Do we learn that message boxes fixes problems? I think that might be it. So, okay, let's just back this up. I'm just going to pretend that it works now. I can't believe that. So we need to find the current text view. I have a method somewhere for that. I have a feeling that I might have. Because, so what we're going to have to do now is that from this command, we have to find the editor instance that's currently the active one. So let's say you have 5 files open. Well, I need to find the right file, right? I need to find the right one that you're currently the one that you're working on. And so didn't look like it found anything there. I'm gonna search for current in C# files. Current snapshot. Where's this tweaks? You know, do I even have that out here? No. What do we have? Text. Get current text view native yada yada. This is it, everybody. Oh. So this is what we're going to do. This probably needs a bunch of using statements. So we need a package. You know, I could probably refactor the hell out of this. So we need to be able to get the service for these two. So we need a package. So in my initialized async, so what I could do is that I can do this. Package equals package control dot generate field. Now these things down here work. So now I can say, I can do this. So in my event handler, from when I click the method, I can say var text var view equals get text view. This has to be static, I guess. There we go. So view dot, what is that I want? Now I want the selection. Okay. So let's get back to actually writing the code. What do I want to happen when you are on a line and you select the whole word? What if you already selected something? And what do you then do and say select the line? I want it to be, either we can say it doesn't work then. You have to have no selection for it to work. But it could also be wherever the starting point is. So that would be up here. That's the line we select. I don't think selecting all the lines is super helpful. So that's just what we're going to go with for now. We can always change it. So that means that I need to get the line of which the beginning of the selection is. So we're just going to do line equals view get line, get text view line containing buffer position, and it takes an integer snapshot point. Snapshot point. Okay. So a snapshot point would be view.selection start position. All right. Yeah. Okay. So let's just do that nicely. Like that. Okay, so then we just need to figure out, this is the thing I said in the beginning, do we want to include the line endings or not? So here's how we can do it. Line dot extend. See, there's something called line extend including line break. And I'd say no. If I select the whole line, because I want to copy it or whatever, I don't think I want the line endings because that would create a new line. So line.extend. So then, and this is a snapshot span, is it? Snapshot span, yep. So okay, because then we can always change how we want to do it. So now we just have to change the selection. So we say view selection, select, and this one's want a snapshot span. Isn't that nice? That's the one we get. And do you want to reverse it? Like, do you basically want to pretend that you selected from right to left or from left to right? So no, we don't want to do that. And if I go and I execute this, nothing happens. Okay. All right, so technically speaking, this should work. I should need to check for, if view is null, then, do nothing maybe. So that could be like if you have a file open that is a designer, for instance, that does not have a text view associated with it. Now that's complaining because my experimental instance was open. So I'm going to do a rebuild. So when that's done building and I hit Control F5, it doesn't do a new build. It just pops see here, it just pops up immediately. So now, with a little bit of luck, maybe a lot, I feel like today I needed luck. There was something weird. Hashtag saved my message box, which I then removed. So run the risk of, okay, we have to open a project. Okay, we can do that. This is pretty exciting. I feel like it took no time to write that code. I don't know about you out there, but this was all about like figuring out about the message box trick. Okay. Are we ready? Shift all the, oh, I didn't actually click it. Shift all the, yes! Did you see that? It selects a line. So if I now hit the delete key, oh, yeah, see, okay, let me explain to you what the problem was. When I select the line, I go up here, I remove focus from the editor as soon as I go up here and I hit select the line. Oh, but it didn't work. What? I shouldn't have taken out those message boxes. Let's try it. Try to attach and see if it does anything, if it even breaks in here. Could it be that I have just my code? That seems unlikely. Shift Alt E. Okay, this is just getting weird. I'm gonna do the message box again. That's just because that can't be right. So why would that work? If I execute a message box in my package load, or my package initialize. I did it up here. Where did I do it? Would that force me to the UI thread? But I've already done that here. Why would that make a difference? Could it be something as simple as it just recompiles? I like my property window to be right there. Thank you very much. It's set to compile. There's no difference here. Oh, did I not hit Control F5? Embarrassing. I mean, you can open. Yeah, Alex, I know. We saw it select a line. That's what I think I saw. So it could be that it then broke after that. But that seems weird because it doesn't do anything. It's literally the last thing that it does is to select that line. So why would it fall apart after the fact? Very confusing. I'm just going to open a random file here. Okay. So now we try file. Okay. And now it selects the line. Okay, let's do that again. File. So, and then something happened. So now it can't say that it couldn't load. Could not load. Why? What do you mean you can't load it? Literally, you just executed it. Could this be because I'm using like an internal nightly build of Visual Studio? I've never seen this issue before, by the way. Okay, so maybe it didn't have anything to do with the message box. It executed all. It could be something that has nothing to do with this feature. And that is why I'm going to just... You ever do this when you're debugging? You're like basically just taking out the lines that could cause the issue because you have no idea. And then if it starts working, you're like, okay, then I'm going to admit like half of the things I just commented out to see if it was among those that the problem came from. I do that sometimes when I have when I feel like I have no other option. So at this point, it is unlikely that it's a MEF component because it seems to be, it complains about the package not loading, and MEF and packages are two separate concepts. So Shift Alt D. Boom. This is unbelievable. So now it's 312. Yeah. I look at it I look at it again, it doesn't tell me anything new. Okay, this is just crazy. I'm gonna to see if there's if like there are other. Oh. See, there's some namespaces here. So could there really be something? Autosave, is that one of those? What does that do? No. Try to find one. Reopen a document. Yeah, that's the one. Get a command ID. I execute. Oh, hang on. It just takes one. Did I just give it one more argument that it needed? So create a new OLA command, but check out this. New OLA command. No, it does take the ID. Yeah, here we go. It's the same thing. There's no way I'm going to do this, is there? Am I really going to go and do this? This can't be it. Okay, so if we're here, and now I'm going to go open a file. So now that, this is not hooked up to anything. So if I select it now, the package will load, but nothing else will. Let's just do it. Yeah, nothing happens. So let's close it again and reopen it. So this is a command from my package here too. So that works. But does it work again? Yes. Okay. So something is clearly wrong in here. This is the most bizarre thing. Okay, what do I do here? I take the package and put that up there. So far, benign. Okay, I did make one change. I changed this line here to use the old way of doing that. So let's include commands and package IDs. Does that look good? Commands? Yeah. And I do switch to the main thread because you have to do that in order to use the command service. You can't add a command and not be on the main thread. Then you'll get you'll just hang forever. You know what? It could be some of this stuff down here though, but it worked, right? We saw it working. And now it decided not to work. Oh, there it is. It worked. People, I don't know. I feel like throwing this out and start completely over. And I really wanted this to work because this is the pretty way of doing it. With that one, and then the... Oh, hang on. Hang on. I still have this registered. Okay, hang on. So in MEF, this is MEF because there's an export attribute here. So in MEF, I'm doing a command binding for the same GUID and ID, right? The GUID and ID. So I've already registered this command in the system once, and then I do it again, right? Up here by registering it again. And so MEF and yeah, this is it. This is it, folks. This is it. Restart Windows. Yeah, Carlos, I don't know. Callback binding. No, this, don't worry. This is now it works. There's a conflict. You can only, so if you have two commands and you accidentally have them, or two command handlers and they accidentally handle the same command, this is typical for when you do a copy paste and you forget to change the ID or something like that. of the new one. Then Visual Studio will just not be able to handle it, and you get like a cryptic error like this. Okay. Okay. Shift Alt D. Okay. Is anything happening? Anything bad? No. No yellow bar. Let's do it again. Shift Alt E. Shift Alt E. People, we have a winner. So if I do like this and I do Shift Alt E up here where it says debug, that's the one that's selected the whole line. Can't believe it. It's working. Okay, so I want to just do one last thing then. I want to do the reverse. I have to do all this. I have like thing that, you know, it filters my using statement, and it basically runs the code cleanup whenever I save a document. So if I comment something out and save it, then it's like, oh, you're no longer using these namespaces. I'm just gonna clean them up for you. You're welcome. And you know, that's usually a really, really nice thing that I very much enjoy. And I do something like this. A little problematic. Okay. So now I'm changing the implementation. This one no longer has effect. Oh. I switched my keyboard to Danish. Oh, Shift Alt. There we go. So let's run this. As the last thing we're going to do today, we're going to see whether or not we can make an editor command, which is the more appropriate thing to do. And when it comes to editor commands, then what? Do we need to do something in my VSCT file to say that it's an editor command? I might. Let's just see if it works. And if it doesn't, then I'll just check in that sample to see if I have to mark it, give it a command flag. Shift Alt D. Yeah, nothing happens. Okay. So, all right. So let me just check that. So GitHub, we go to VSSDK samples. Hey, do you know this website, VSSDK samples? If you just search for it, it's like pretty awesome. So I want editor commands. It's a custom command. Nope. What was it? Async completion, no. Let's see here. Man, I just can't find it, so I'll have to search for it again. It was iCommand handler. No, it was command binding. I just want to find the location. Does this mean you can't find anything? Are you done searching? Are you still searching? I can tell. It's command binding that it's called, right? Yeah. I can't tell if it's searching. Okay, well, we're just going to have to go out and find it. So VSSDK samples. Then we can search this repo. So this is actually a really good repo for searching for Visual Studio extensibility, like examples, of course, and other things. Do command bindings, command binding. Oh, yeah, I have to do two-factor authentication because it's a Microsoft repo. Here we go. Backward compatible. Why is this in the backward? Oh, it's in the completely the wrong place. Okay, backwards command handler. So I need to find a VSCT file. Modern command handler. Here we go. Oh, I don't see anything specific here. Oh, well. That's okay. We don't need it because we are just going to go and do our, back to what worked. So that means none of this. And then this. I'm just going to nuke this. And then we have something that is really nice. One thing I was thinking of we could do is that we should probably do get the text view, get line. You'll always get that if it contains the position. This is all good. All right. Let's commit it. So what did we do? We added, let's see, what is the name of that thing? GitHub. So was it issue number 16? I think so. Yep. Issue number 16. And with that, go in here and say, added one line selection, fixes number 16. Let's commit it. And let's see, does it make it? Yep, there we go. So now you can play around with it too. It's on that URL that was posted by, yep, it's right there. So I don't know, James, do we have any last questions here? Because we're so late. We should just be an hour. It took longer today, I'm sorry. James, do we have anything incoming? Are there any people left?
That's a good question. What is a callback binding?
I don't know what a callback binding is.
Okay, maybe you said something in that. That was the only thing that I saw, really.
There was someone asking about callback binding. Yeah, that one.
Can you explain the error again?
Yes. The error was that I had... Okay, so there was maybe two errors. The first one was when I tried to hook up the editor command using mef. And that seemed to produce the error. I did the command bindings. And it didn't like that for some reason. And I don't know why that is. So I can't explain why that failed. Secondly, why did it fail after I then abandoned the editor commands and say, okay, let's go with the regular sort of global command. That's what you see on the screen right here. Why this failed was because that now I had two commands. It failed, like it worked once and then it kind of failed after that. Like I got the yellow bar saying something was wrong, see the log file. That was because I did not delete the old command binding. And so now I had two pieces of code, two event handlers or two command handlers, both registering to handle my command, the one I just created. And so Visual Studio kind of blows up when you do that. So I think that was, so that was the issue the second time around. But the first time around, I don't know why it didn't hook up correctly. So I'll dig into it more, and maybe it's something we can do in a future episode. Yep.
Mystery. Someone was asking about the search engine that VS uses.
This one?
I don't know. There's that one, and there's also the global search, I guess, up top too. There's
the Visual Studio search up here? There's, yeah, you want to call that a search? What is the question? What engine do they use in VS for searching?
Yeah, something like
Elasticsearch. Or something. So when we search up top here, no, this one here searches all the commands and all sorts of things that's inside Visual Studio. It also can do file search, like code search. So if I search content types, you see I have a file called content types. It's this file over here. So it has like different providers that come in and search. And it used to be that we could actually write extensions for the search back when it was called Quick Launch. You could add a provider so you could search arbitrary things like NuGet packages or your own private website or whatever. But there's these different providers. And if one provider wants to use Elasticsearch, they can do that. If you're talking about finding files, this one was like, we redid this complete not that long ago. It was very old and hard to maintain, and it's actually a lot faster now. And this one does search in files on disk. So it will crack open your text files and search for any arbitrary string that you put in there. So there's not much magic to this, even though they made it over twice as fast in this new implementation. That's why sometimes I'm like, did it actually search? Is it done? Because they just made it so fast now that it's hard to tell. I should let them know that they should have an indicator saying no results or something like that. What else?
I think that's it. A lot of people just kind of chimed in throughout trying to figure out double command binding, a bunch of other things like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you just got firsthand view to how my archaic debugging skills look in practice here. So I hope I didn't scare you away from extensibility. This doesn't happen that often, I promise. All right. It's Friday. It's time for, in the US at least, a long weekend. It's a holiday on Monday. I will actually take an even longer holiday because it's vacation time. I'm gonna use it. So there won't be any Visual Studio office hours this Monday. And but we'll be back with more extensibility stuff Friday. And as usual, on Twitter, in the comments, somehow let me know if there's any particular topics that you want me to cover, that we want to go through. Today we did debugging. That was not planned, but nonetheless, that's what we ended up doing. So so please stay in touch, right? And I want to do something that's relevant to you. So let me know. See ya. And James, thank you.